This conference will now be recorded.
Dr. Mandy Lee will lead us in pledge of allegiance.
You pray with us. Father, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. Pray for our commissioners, and I thank you for them allowing us to be here. Father, I do pray that you'll be with each one of them, lead them, guide them, direct them, call them closer to you, Lord. Help them with the decisions they make here and every day, Lord. Pray for their protection. Pray for this county. And Lord, just pray that you'll move in our hearts, bring us closer to you. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Hill. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Before we approve the consent items in the agenda, I got a text from Rodney Hester. I don't know what's going on, but he's had to go to the operating room. I don't know what that is, but please, and I forgot to ask Warren to pray for him when he prayed, but that's my fault. But please say a little prayer for Rodney, if you would, please. That's all I know right now. I'm trying to find out. Haven't found out anything. So I want to, on the closed session, I want to strike the economic development piece. We will not be doing that tonight. And with that, I would ask the motion to approve it as amended. Second. Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Cameron. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Individual delegation wish to address the board? Okay.
Billy Austin.
Let's stress here. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Billy Augustine. For those of you that don't know me, my family owns Vineyard Golf at White Lake here in Bladen County. Originally from New Jersey. My dad migrated down here in 2001, chasing the blueberry crop, and farmers by trade. So they wanted to get a jump on that. And, back in 2016, the golf course was, bankrupt, and he jumped on it and purchased it, put countless money and time into that course and got it to where it is today. And, that course, I feel like, is a staple of the community. And, it's right there on the zipper of 701 going into White Lake, and it just brings a lot of people. I can tell you, it was a slow start. COVID came, and unfortunately, like I tell people, COVID was one of the things that benefited golf, and it was one of the only things that benefited from COVID. But here now, this year already we're on track to have one of our best years, bringing a lot of people from out of town to Bladen County. I see a lot of people from Leland, Raleigh, and that course does bring a lot of traffic. And I'm here tonight to make a formal request and show you a proposal I have for a 40-lot subdivision that butts up to the course of Vineyard Golf. We bought 50 acres there, and I have plans to, put 40 acres in at some time. But my challenge is getting county water back to that property. It's a big expense coming from 701. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Teal Road there, where our maintenance shed is, and there's a few houses back there already. But, it looks like a job. I have somewhat of a proposal here. I mean, we haven't got engineered plans yet, but it could be upwards of $300,000 for that job. And, that really cuts into the cost of putting this subdivision in. And I really just wanted to ask some questions or see if there's any kind of help that I could get from the county to at least get water back to this proposed subdivision, so we can really make this work. I mean, I'm a firm believer in the growth of this county. I've talked to numerous, people involved in the county about how important it is to have, housing's like top on the list for lack of lots and housing. And I see the influx of people coming here. I see the projects that everybody's doing around Bladen County. I believe there's going to be substantial growth here, and I'd love to get ahead of it. I think the golf course would be a great place for lots and for all classes of families to come in and move. And, we have big plans there. I'm hoping to turn that place into more of a country club appeal with swimming pools and stay and play packages and a restaurant. We already opened the grill there. We're having some success with that, but I just wanted to pitch my plans to y'all and, see if there's any possibility on the county helping us with getting water back to our property back there and alleviating that expense. You know, with 40 lots there, I feel like it could be a 5-year investment. You should have a return on that investment. Bringing them lots there, you know, it could generate, I guess, you know, $1,500 a lot on tax revenue at minimum. So 40, you know, it could be an extra $60,000-$80,000 a year for the county in tax income. So I just.
Is it the far back left corner of y'all's property?
Yes, sir. I mean, if you look here, I mean, that's 701. I bought the 2 properties back here. Right now, we're looking at purchasing more. I have plans here if anybody'd like to see them, and I just wanted to present my case and see if there's any possibility on getting some county water back there.
We'll have Kit back there in McClary. You'll, you mentioned chat with him, and then he could help us, and then maybe get Chuck involved and see what we can do.
Okay. Okay.
He'll take the paperwork or whatever he needs to start the process and get your phone number and stuff.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Potential
Thank you,
investment. Okay, matters of interest to commissioners. The first one is consider approving request in the amount of $68,000 to the town of Elizabeth to
Motion to approve.
for the local match for Safe Street. Motion by Mr. Cogdill, second Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any other commissioners got any matters of interest?
I just have one thing, and it's certainly not trying to be critical. Just never really had this before. I had a lot of people come to me, said when they went to vote in the primary that they just felt somewhat intimidated that some of the poll workers were too aggressive. Nobody said they were representing any candidate, so I don't know who they were. But it was almost a daily thing. People were saying, man, I've just never seen that before. You couldn't get out of your car. People were rushing you and that sort of thing. I think some folks got back in the car and drove to Tar Heel or wherever. But it was in Elizabethtown, and just, you know, I guess as we go into another elections, you know, cycle before too long, just, I guess all of us just be mindful that, you know, we want to make sure it's not a hostile environment when people get out. They're just jealous, they're just excited, I guess, but just, you know, maybe we can mention that while it's fresh, just to caution them.
Okay, so we'll take care of that tomorrow. Anyone else? So, everyone's got a copy of this at your desk. It's, Duke Energy update for key lead around power line safety and demos for first responders. And it's April the 3rd. And it's our training center, and it's 10:30 to 11:30. And they'll be actually doing a safety demo on site. Bladen County Emergency Service Training Center, and they want you to want everyone to come. They want. Do we send the calendar invite out? We're gonna send the calendar invite, so please attend that if you can. Anyone else got anything? Item 5 is Bladen Community College, Dr. Amanda Lee, President. Update regarding plans and activities. Dr. Lee.
So I was just telling Lisa, I'm beginning to feel like regular, so I hope you're not sick of seeing me. But Mr. Chairman, county commissioners, county staff, I am really here just to say thank you. And I'm going to make it short and sweet. I want to remind you that because of you and your support, we remain a leader in workforce development. We remain highly regarded and a successful institution with our university transfers. We are a community resource for lifelong learning and a home for those who seek to improve their standard of living and their life skills. And we couldn't do it without you. I want to share some of the things that are going on with the college that are so wonderful. But first of all, I want you to know the state of the college is that we are in a good place. Our partnership with the public school system continues to be strong and growing. You may have already heard, I know Mr. Britt, who serves on our board, has already heard this, that the Bladen Early College had a student that scored a perfect score on their math assessment. Their entire math class scored 100% pass rate. and they are on their way to scoring an A grade as an overall school. And we're very, very proud to have them on our campus. Paul R. Brown, you've heard Dr. Ray come before you with some other information in the past. He is increasing the number of his students that are coming on campus, and we are going to have quite a few of his high school graduates who are earning college credentials simultaneously this year that we'll celebrate in May. This year also, Smithfield donated a refrigerated trailer, and thank you to your chairman, helped us secure that gift, and it is a part of our wonderful brand new truck driving training program. And we are working in partnership with Fayetteville Tech Community College. So we actually take our truck and we drive it all the way to Fayetteville Tech, use their driving pad, and then bring it home, and our students get that time going back and forth as part of their required training time. So very excited about that. And the trailer that was donated is a refrigerated trailer. So we're expanding our HVAC program to include maintenance on refrigerated trailers. So it's kind of a double whammy there. This year's basic law enforcement training class has been one of our best. They are nearing the end of their graduation. We have 2 of your deputies, or hopefully one soon to be deputies, are in the program. Elizabethtown, I think, is going to hire 3 of our students. And so far, we have not lost any of our students in the program. It's a very rigorous program, and if you do not maintain your success throughout, you're asked to leave and start over at a later date. So the fact that we still have 100% retention is incredible. We attribute some of that to a gift from Bladen We Care. We now have an opportunity for our BLET students and our EMS students to work out on campus. So BLET has a physical fitness requirement, and EMS is getting ready to add a physical fitness requirement. So we want to be sure that those graduates are ready for anything that they're going to tackle when they graduate from us. And while we're talking about law enforcement and public safety, in May, we are going to have our first Public Safety Administration graduates. Very excited about this. It's a new program. We've had it less than 5 years. This is for people who are already working in fire, police, or EMS that do not have a degree yet. So this gives them an associate's degree, which does transfer to a couple of our other 16 public universities, and many times this is a requirement for them to be promoted. So we're excited to be a part of their continuing education. We continue our work to maintain a safe and healthy campus. I want to be sure that you know, you've heard me thank Representative Brisson time and time again for the money he secured for us, our sewer project. We've actually broken ground, and we are so excited to be able to flush toilets. We're going to flush every single toilet on campus in a couple of weeks at the same time. And you are welcome to come. But if you see Representative Brisson, we could not have done that without him, and it was way overdue on our infrastructure. Last year, when Chairman Troy and I came before you, we were joined by Kathy Reeves, who is our interim CFO. This year, I get to introduce to you Roy Thompson. Roy is new to this role, but not new to the college. He's been at Bladen Community College in the business office since 2012. He looks like a baby, but he is not, evidently, unless he started working for us when he was 2. He has earned 2 degrees from UNC Pembroke, and the most recent is his MBA. I hope he is proud of many, many things since he has started as our CFO, but I think the most proud accomplishment, and this is truly because of him and his team, that we got our state financial audit results recently, and it was clean with absolutely no findings. So thank you, Roy. Successful outcomes like this would not be possible without you. So you have already seen that we try to be good stewards of our funds. We try to take our fiduciary responsibility seriously. This spring, the board, the staff, Roy, and Mr. Troy and I worked together to craft a budget request that reflected our fiscal needs, but also general expenses, capital expenses, and operations. The operating budget, and this is very, very important, that we had presented before you reflects a 1.2% increase from last year. We have focused on efficiencies. We've reevaluated processes. So where there were some decreases, we're able to take those into account with the increases. The capital budget that we've requested and we bring before you also reflects a decrease from last year. We're requesting funding to continue to address, and you heard this earlier in your other meeting, our safety concerns, We have some flooring that's curling up. We have some exterior lighting that's not bright enough. We are continuing to replace all of our doorknobs so that they're the lever doorknobs. We're looking at renovations of classrooms and replacement of windows in our climate control system so we can be energy efficient. The operating budget also considers items such as, this last year, we bought 2 vehicles and you also paid for a facility maintenance plan. We don't need that anymore, so it reduced that budget. You approved the Booker T. Washington, remember $150,000 recurring. However, because of what we've been able to roll off from this year, again, our request to you is only increased by 1.5%, even including the new expenses for Booker T. Washington. This budget request does include a 3% salary increase for our locally paid employees because we are anticipating our state employees to receive a 3% increase. I know you would value them as much as we do. We value them a lot. And so we want to be sure that we compensate them commensurate with our other employees at the college. We tried to keep our operating costs as low as possible. We know that your resources are limited. We know that the future is uncertain. I want you to hear me say we're going to do our best to mitigate all of our expenses with grants, with gifts. I'm not afraid to ask for money. You may have even heard me ask for money. So I want to be sure that you know that we're going to do the best we can to supplement whatever you give us. So it's my job on behalf of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Britt, Mr. Troy, and others, to bring before you the fiscal needs of the college. I respect the fact that you have an equally and perhaps more imposing responsibility to evaluate our requests, but many, many requests that come before you. With that in mind, I want to thank our recently retired county manager. I also want to thank our CFO, Lisa Cohen, for all she has done to help us prepare this budget. We value this relationship that we have with the county. We are one of 58 community colleges. I can promise you, I talked to all of the other 57 presidents. Our relationship is special. Not every community college has the type of relationship with their county commissioners that we do, and we value that. Before I close up, I wanted to give a moment for Mr. Troy to make a few comments if he so desires.
Yes, thank you, President. But on behalf of the trustees of Bladen Community College, we support Dr. Amanda Lee's report that she just presented to you today. Struggle is real. We and commissioners, and I'm gonna call your name, Cardell, McGill, Brett. That's just not here, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Ellison, Gillespie, Mr. Bullard, and Dr. Gons. We thank you for your past and present and future support that y'all have given to Bladen Community College. The struggle is real, and we need your support, and we come to say thank you.
Mr. Thompson's here to answer any questions. Before we open it up, I do want to just plant one little seed. And this is not a part of our request, but I do want you to know that as our high school students continue to take classes at the college, we are looking, as COVID money is expiring, and you know that because you're dealing with that as well, that students are going to have to start paying for their own textbooks again. So if you find, we think we need about $250,000, in the corners someplace, we would love for you to support our high school students to support their textbooks that they use every semester. But that is not a formal request coming from the board. That is just an idea that Dr. Atkinson and I have been bouncing around for your consideration. So, County Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, we'll open up for any questions, but our purpose here today truly is just to say thank you.
Brett, I like comment that was made today, very favorable. We know in the past we struggled with our nursing program. And I want everybody in here to know we're one of the leaders in the state. And it was brought to my attention, I heard this morning that they wished we would pursue more also in the medical side because we have the perfect staff out there that succeeds. So I said I would pass it on, so I'm passing it in front of everyone. And I mentioned to Mr. Troy before the meeting tonight a couple of other things I think would be excited if we could work on and do too. That's much needed in here.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. I just want to say, in this item that we got today, Bladen Community College ranked number 6 in student population.
Thank you. Thank you.
thing. I just, it's kind of an opportunity to say thank you. Probably the only commissioner here at the time has a student in BCC. But I've got a son that's getting ready to graduate from Campbell with his MBA. He just turned 22. Basically 0 college loans. He got ahead. He went. He's never made a B in his life, but because of the early college program, being able to be a high school student and a college student at the same time has put him on a path that otherwise would not have happened. I have a daughter who's a junior at East Bladen, but basically she spends her day at BCC, doing well, and she's excited about it. It's really the first time I've seen her excited about schoolwork. That's what means a lot. So those are just some real faces in your program. So on behalf of my family, thank y'all.
I just want to comment because I worked on, as school board member, I worked to secure that we got the early college. Because I was at community college and I transitioned, but that was my most important project that I worked on. But more importantly, I think some of the funding is going to start coming away. So what are the plans?
So good question. You know, in the early college, you know, we don't fund that,
Right.
but that's through DPI.
Right.
I will tell you from the community college system, we do have a legislative ask that we're working on right now
Okay.
for a new funding model. And it is going to be based on workforce sectors, which will allow our legislators to focus on a particular area and support us more financially with that. And it's based on salary and demand. It also will increase our base budget, which for us at a rural college means we will not fluctuate as much with enrollment. It would give us some stability. And then we're also including some monies for growth and some monies for retention. So if you have a chance, we're calling it Propel NC. I would love a resolution for the county commissioners supporting Propel NC.
Yes.
That would be wonderful, and I can work with Ms. Edwards on that if that's something that you would like to pursue.
Dr. Lee, could you elaborate on some of the notes that come to the trustees on the $80,000 family income from students, maybe that possibly wouldn't have to pay?
So, yes, sir. So we have also at our fingertips, if you know of anybody who completes their FAFSA, which we know is a bit of a nightmare right now, but it won't continue to be that way. If you complete a FAFSA and your family earns less than $80,000, you're pretty much guaranteed community college tuition. So we want to get that word out. It's a wonderful scholarship that the state is offering, and thank you so much, Mr. Britt, because it's called Next NC. If you want more information on that, I can give that to Ms. Edwards to share with you.
Got a flyer with it.
I'll be glad to share that with you.
Could I make one comment? In reference to early college, and I'm glad you brought it up, but when you think about the school system and the 13 schools here, the early college at Bladen Community College have the best schools.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just before we move on to the audit, yes, it's okay to share this. I just got a text that Rodney's having internal complications, possibly due to cancer and chemo. More to come.
Thank you.
So, audit, Ms. Lisa, Brian.
Good evening. We'll turn it over to Brian and let him do his presentation. What is that when we do?
Good evening, everyone. I know y'all got a copy of the audit and the presentation. Robin's going to play it on the screens for us if somebody needs to watch this if they did not bring a copy of them. But thank y'all again for this opportunity to work with the county on the 2023 audit. Here I am to present the presentation and to thank Lisa and all her staff, all the department heads that we've harassed all these months to get stuff and ask them to be demanding. So I thank them for that. So I do appreciate and had the pleasure to work with, of course, Greg Martin over these years, and I thank him for that. On page 1 of the presentation, these are just our required auditor communications that go through what our responsibility is in preparing your audit under our generally accepted auditing standards. The first one is to express an opinion on the financial statements. Our opinion is unmodified. It's the highest opinion that we can render in such an engagement. That means we did not have to modify any of the numbers that were presented to us in the preparation of those financial statements. Also be aware that we only obtain reasonable assurance and not absolute, because we are not able to look at every transaction throughout the county's transactions. We understand your internal controls so that we can plan our audit procedures. We also evaluate any accounting principles, making sure that they're reasonable and within allowed principles. We also, during the process, go over with Greg and Lisa any issues or findings that we have, come up with discussions, and come up with any corrective action plans. You'll be denied that those that rose to the level come to your attention. On page 2, continuation, we do evaluate the accounting principles. All those are reasonable and appropriate for your type of governmental agency or entity. There were no adoption or changes of accounting policies during the year. The accounting estimates used in the preparation of the financial statements were appropriate and within reason. We had no disclosures or difficulties or disagreements with management. Flipping over to page 3, corrected, uncorrected misstatements. As normal, of course, of preparing the audit, we do propose adjustments. We give those to Lisa, and Lisa reviews them and posts them. Management representations were signed. There were no outside consultations with other accounting firms. The findings we're fixing to discuss. Other findings were just, as I mentioned last year, the local government commission's financial dashboard or indicator. Page 4 is just the verbiage as it comes to our communication to you regarding internal control. There were no deficiencies identified in your internal control over the preparation in the course of your financial statements. Page 5, the summary of our findings and question costs. The top section is financial statements. There were none. The section in the middle, federal awards, there were some, and similar to prior years as it relates to our Medicaid compliance audit. You can also see the other programs that we tested for compliance. On page 6, it's a summary of any state audit deficiencies that we would have to report tonight. There were none. Flipping to page 8 real quick. This is the detail of our material weaknesses in the eligibility determination as it goes through the process of Medicaid qualifications. Page 9 also deals with eligibility and non-compliance of the requirements that supposed to be followed in the application and in the process. So here again, those are the same findings that we've had in the past. I have met with DSS on this, and they have discussed the corrective action plans, which are on 10 and 11.
Got 2 different books. We don't have that book. You fine.
You good? I mean, that one?
That one has that assessment bullet.
This bullet's smart.
I've been trying to figure that stuff done. He's looking at this big book.
Sorry, I should have held it up for everybody to take a peek at.
I'll hold it up for you.
Don't brag, don't brag.
Well, I'm glad Robin's got it on the screen for us.
Glad they can read it.
Yeah, they can't read it. That's true. They got good eyes. Y'all might be able to do it. And with that being said, if y'all take a look at it, have questions, I'm just right down the street. If you can do after April 15th, I'll be certainly glad to come back and talk to you in detail. The financial indicators that are on page 12 reflects what fund balance has done over the past 2 years, and that's the local government commission is in. This is basically approval with how things have grown. As again, this financial indicator section is just a summary of how we present the information to the state, and they comprise it with any flags that jump up that we have to respond to. Flipping on page 12, 13, and 14, the only flag that jumps up is that the audit was presented late. Of course, y'all are very much aware of that situation with the cyber attack. The fact that we were pretty much trying to close out the audit when that hit, and then everything was kind of delayed, and then it got into our busy season, and it just snowballed after everything. Now I kind of skip to page 17. If y'all had it, y'all can certainly go back and read it, but this is the auditor report. I just put it in there this year so y'all can kind of read our responsibilities and our procedures as we go through preparing the audit, our opinions, the basis for our opinions, and so forth. Now, Robin, if you kind of flip to page 20, that kind of gives us some graphs and charts that may be easier for everybody to read. You can see how cash in the general fund has stair-stepped over the past several years, getting us over $43 million. 2.5 of that is restricted cash. A cash analysis on page 21 is of your business type funds, the water fund and the solid waste. That has slowly kind of maintained and increased a little bit, a little over $3.3 million. Slide 22, it's a 5-year revenue comparison of your general fund revenue. Ad valorem taxes has certainly jumped after the reval. Other taxes, you got restricted, permits and fees, pretty much hard to even see. Sales and services, investment earnings, wow, what a good year for that. Hats off to Greg and Lisa for really going after what they can to take the money and invest it and make some earnings off of it. So starting to finally see some color come back in on this chart for investment earnings. Miscellaneous were just pretty much non-changing. The next slide is the same thing, but as it deals with your expenditures on page 23. General government, you can see all of them kind of jumped and increased. Public safety did highest at $6.16 million. General government was a little over $8 million or $8.5 million. But humane services has remained consistent on that. Their expenditures in education was right at $10 million. Debt service is falling off because y'all are getting out of debt. Even though you think it is, still quite a bit of debt left. You are shrinking down to a little over $1.5 million in annual payments, spread out for many years, but that's what the annual debt service requirements are. Slide 25 is just a comparison of operating revenues over expenditures. There was a surplus for the year in the general fund. The next slide of 26 shows also the fund balance as it has grown over the past several years, keeping in mind that total fund balance is a little over $45 million, but $10 million is restricted and designated. Slide 27 is the growth of your fund balance and the percentage. So you're a little over 65%. The state average, it's not really comparable anymore because it's based on population sizes. If we were to, I will tell you, on somewhat of an average, it's about 39%. So y'all are slightly above the state average on that. Which fund balance, as I've always mentioned in all my presentations, is there for natural disasters. It's there to meet your grant matches for expansion and future services that can be presented to the citizens. Slides 28 and 29 just give basically a breakdown of your revenue by source. Your ad valorem taxes come in at about 49%, which is a little bit higher than last year. Other taxes, which is franchise taxes, about the same as last year at 16%. Investment earnings grew 2%, which is great, and then restricted, which are grant monies, are about 15%. That did decrease a little bit over last year, 17%. Slides 30 and 31 are a breakdown again, just like it was previously, but it is of your expenditures within the general fund. Governmental expenditures are 17%, public safety is 32%, human services are 24%, education is 19%, culture and recreation is 3%. Economic development is 3% also. Debt service is only 2%. Slides 32 is a 5-year revenue comparison of the water fund revenues. You can see growth in the water sales of $2.7 million, or I'm sorry, $2.6 million as services being expanded and rates are being adjusted. Late and reconnect fees, that's always a moneymaker that notoriously will have same cutoffs on a regular basis at $250,000, and again, interest is starting to show up at about $150,000. On slide 33, there is same solid waste revenue comparison. Waste collections are maintaining the same a little bit at $800,000. Your waste disposal fee is $1.2 million. Tipping waste is about 500,000, and others are just kind of nominal rates. Again, the interest is starting to creep up, so that's always a good sign as you're taking advantage of investing opportunities. Slide 34, just compare water and sewer or water revenues to expenditures, showing an operating surplus. I'm sorry, yeah, an operating surplus. In slide 35, it shows the solid waste revenue and expenditures. It is showing a deficit in the solid waste fund for the year. Slide 36 just shows a little 5-year chart of what your tax rate has been. The last slide, 37, shows how your ad valorem value has crept up to $27 billion, up to $27 billion. Get my zeros mixed up. I'm sorry, $27 million in dollar levy, not value. So let me get that right. $27 million in dollars. Any questions on any of that? And I apologize that y'all didn't have this. I would have tried to move a little bit slower, tried to be a little bit more clear.
When I was talking about, at one time we was talking about having concerns about Medicaid and how that was flowing, the rate was flowing in. And I'm trying to figure out, we were just talking about some budget stuff. Is staffing a part of what would make that piece of it stay safe?
Staffing has been the issue over the past several years, in that those workers tend to move from county to county or in different positions. So they're there for a few years. They get learning how it's done in Bladen County, and then they get another position. Medicaid is a very high stress type program. So they come in and then they move within different programs within the Department of Social Services, or they move outside the county. So I'm kind of speaking, and I'm not real educated on it. If Ms. Smith were here, she could certainly give you a little bit more insight on that.
The other part of it is when you come in to audit and do things, is the material being given to you in a timely manner?
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
You do what you need to do in the process. Tell us what's happened with it.
It is kind of our process when it comes to, we're doing two types of audits. We're doing a financial audit, which is basically the big audit copy that you've got. And in addition to that, we're also checking compliance with grants that meet a certain monetary criteria. Medicaid is always going to be one of those because that's just what the state mandates. We get a sample, or we get the population from the state for, I think it's July through February, around May or June, about around May. And then we're able to select the ones that we're going to pull for testing. We audit. I don't do the compliance audit because it's gotten so detailed and so complex. We have just a group that does all of our Medicaid and other grant compliance, and they do about 10 other counties. So we're trying to get in line and get things done. Then in August, the end of August, 1st of September, we get the last quarter of the year to be able to pull our sample. So then we start trying to get timing in. But as far as the information that's provided to us by your local employees, I mean, it's been spot on timing. Once we get the financial audit done, we're able then to get an idea of where all your total grant expenditures are. And then we have to evaluate, are we getting all the ones that met the monetary criteria? And do we need to go back and add more grants to get what the federal government calls our adequate coverage? Did we test enough federal expenditures to comply with a 40% coverage rate? I may have answered more than what you were asking, but everything is kind of a fine grease machine that's been working well here the past few years.
Today, I just want to ask, Mike, today, I'm getting the Medicaid expansion covered for 2 years, and then we have to start paying, then the county become responsible. Is that right?
That's not the part of what we're testing on this. We're just testing how the application process and was eligibility determined correctly.
Now, entertain a motion to consider accepting the 22-23 audit as presented. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, that's good. Mr. Benny Lennon.
Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm here on behalf of Bladen County Schools to ask for y'all to consider approving the capital outlay request, a total of $703,865.93.
Motion to approve. Second. Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Benny.
On my behalf, I just appreciate y'all helping us out in everything y'all do.
Good job.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Finance Department, Ms. Lisa Coleman.
Thank you. I'll review the dashboard with you for the month ending February 2024. At the end of February, we had collected 69.64% of the revenues in general fund and spent 64.05%. Solid waste, we've collected 60.94 and spent 60.60. Emergency telephone, we've collected 19.3 and spent 18.6. Water, we've collected 71.46 and spent 40.22. Any questions on the dashboard? All right, and on the federal inmate program right now, we are averaging 82 inmates, what's been billed, but our current population is 66 as of today.
And averaging 82.
62 and 8, 66.
66 as of today. No, 66 is what they're averaging inside the jail right this moment for federal inmates today. But that's because they just had a big ship out for some last week they said that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Emergency Medical Service, Mr. David Howe.
I come before you guys tonight just to request a change in the EMS ambulance fee rates. That's because Medicare, of course, did a 2.6% inflationary increase. And there were some questions, I think, from last session about it concerning the Medicare piece as far as allowable versus not allowable. Our billing company did recommend 6% above what Medicare allowable is. Their thought process is, of course, catching secondary payers, secondary insurance companies, some commercial insurance companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, things like that, Cigna and Aetna, to catch those revenues. After talking with them and looking at it, I was going to make a recommendation, Medicare only, and that is Medicare only patients be at the allowable rate. Everything else commercial would be at the 6% above.
Motion to approve. Motion
Second.
Bullock, second by Dr. Moon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Mr. David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Skip, entertain a motion to go on water board. Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Bullock. All in favor say aye. Aye. Series 7 water board.
Good evening. You have before you tonight a request for approval of the 2 water supply plans for our east and west districts. This is a document that we're required by the state to present to them each year, which gives an evaluation of what our system operations do so far as our permits with the state. The big things to highlight here is how many miles of water system we actually have. If you're looking at east, you've got 61 miles of water system. If you've got west, you've got over 400 miles of water system. And then it evaluates us on the gallons that are pumped, gallons that are sold, what our system capacities are capable of. And the big information is right there near the very back or the last page of that document. And it tells you, and this is actually done in millions of gallons per day or MGD. Presently, our system capacity versus our demand for east, we're only demanding 48% of what our system capacity is capable of. And if you go over to west, it looks like 54%, excuse me, of what our system capacity is capable of producing. That's total well capacity, gallons we can pump, gallons we can provide, which in their
review says no corrective actions need to be taken at this point, or any future expansions need to be addressed at this time. However, they do project out, as you can see on these final 2 pages, right on out to 2070, and that's just based on populations, projections and things. They really don't talk about Bladen too much. They talk about state populations. So at some point in the near future, we'll be looking at where our capacities are, where we may be in 25 years or 30 years, and what we'll have to do. But always also remember, if we do system expansions, add on more homes and all this, these numbers can change. The state looks at 2 things here: what our safe water capacity is. And what they do there is they want our water systems pumping on 12-hour intervals, which allows 12 hours for the system to rest and allow ground table to recharge. And we do this system operations with SCADA systems, and in some cases old pressure switches, but that's all being worked on and upgraded as we go along. But safe capacity, remember that. That's the thing with water. You don't want to pump any well 24 hours. You always want to give that well 12 hours to rest. So that's what we're being evaluated on at this point. 48% is being utilized in the east, 4% is being utilized in the west. And we'll also report, as of tonight, we've got just over 7,000 customers system-wide now, both east and west. So our system has expanded in the last 4 years by nearly 1,000 customers, but part of that was the Water District 4 expansion too. So there we have it. And you're being asked tonight to do a board action to say you've received this. That'll go back to the state and finalize this report for them.
Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Ellis. Any discussion?
I got one person. This is quick. With I know when you get homeowners insurance, they look at the rate, some of it based on hydrants, location, where they're located. Do we look at that east and west based on location, logistics, people, homes? That have any impact? They would know, like if somebody were to put a home someplace, they would know where to go at. But they go to a map and say, well, I don't want to build my house here because it's over there fine. Do we have anything to tell a person that when they got ready to build?
That's being worked on through our AIA grant that we talked about a few weeks ago. Our system inventory assessment, it'll give you locations of hydrants, valves, and all these things. We don't yet have anything that's available to the customers that could be addressed online or even in maps in our offices. This is all 2 things you want to remember here. We use USDA funds for building these water districts. They're not built as or designed as fire suppression systems, meaning capacities are being addressed to provide community water systems, but fire hydrants are added where the system capacity will make that available. And they're usually set up like on 2,500-foot intervals along the system so that we have a point to flush, we have a way to clean them out, and we have a way to actually exercise those things for fire protection if it's necessary. Many times when the engineers are designing it, they'll look at a neighborhood and try to put fire hydrants near that neighborhood and maybe skip over some distances where there's no development.
That's what I was asking. Somebody was asking. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion come out of order, board.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. 11 is advisory board appointment, list down planning and zoning and board of adjustments. Reappoint. Motion, Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Southeast Economic Development Commission.
Reappoint.
Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Dr. Sophia, to reappoint. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Next, April the 15th, this comes Rural Fire District Committee 3. Okay, let's go over the calendar. March the 23rd, the Carolina Bay Hike at Jones Lake. 2 p.m. 3 o'clock, the Cancer Survivor Annual Gala Dinner at Lisbon County Presbyterian Church. 29th, county offices are closed for Good Friday. And then also at 10 o'clock, they got the Bladen County Vietnam War Veterans Day at Bladen Community College. April 1 is prayer service at 8 o'clock, commissioner meeting at 6:30. Tuesday is Bladen County's Storm School. That's the what's it, the training center that I talked about earlier with Duke Power Company. Wednesday. Is this the same thing, Marie, or just 2 different days? Okay. So it's not the second, it's the third. Okay. Scratch the second. Saturday, April the 6th is benefit ride for Randy Jones, Lisbon Fire Department, and 6 to 10, 5 to 10 at Bladenboro is Spring Fling.
Aren't they have a plate sale that day?
Yes.
Yes. Plate sale on the 6th.
Mm-hmm. Plate sale also. The 8th is the Health and Human Service meeting at 5 o'clock. The 9th is blood drive at Hickory Grove Baptist Church and Substance Misuse Task Force at 2 o'clock at the Health Department. The 12th is Dig Day Weekend Fundraiser at Harmony Hall, Friday the 12th, and the 13th. And then the 13th, Saturday, is 10 to 11:30 is the Lou Mill Wine Run, 5K. 14th is also the Dig Day. 15th is the Board of Commissioners meeting at 6:30. 16th is Bladen Soil and Water District 24 Award Luncheon. And we got invites to that, so if you reserved, if you're coming, you need to reserve back to Miss Marie. So they want to hear kind of who's coming. And the 18th at Harmony Hall is the quarterly meeting. Individual delegations wishing to address the commissioners. Matters of interest to commissioners. Entertain the motion to go in closed session. So moved. For ordinance 143-318.11A. No. Scratch that. NCG 143-318. 1A5 real estate acquisition and NCG 143-318.11 personnel. Motion by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Danny. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Take about 5 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, Cameron. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
At this time.
Special workshop for to review the candidates for the county manager will be April 1st at 4
14.
At 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock. April 1st, 4 o'clock.
Double.
That wasn't a motion.
Well, how do I think? Go ahead. Okay.
That don't need to be a motion.
No? Okay.
And the our first budget workshop will be March the 25th, 4 o'clock, right here.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion.
Adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Hold on.
All in favor say aye. All opposed.
Hey, James.
Go on with it.